That is not the baby. The opening of Goodbye Despair off the dome is a complete flip from everything the first game laid out. Everything's so funky and glitchy. You're thrown into a paradise world and Byakuya is a fat little chud. But you know what, guys? I kind of love him. Kind of prefer him this way too. Oh. The first case of Goodbye Despair is insane from the start. There's nothing to prepare you for Byakuya's death. I don't know, dude. At least for me, I didn't expect this at all. I mean, he's one of the survivors of the last game, you know. I mean, sure, maybe he won't make it all the way till the end again. But the first victim, and also every single twist in the last game, is revealed in this first fucking chapter. That's fucking crazy. You know how insane that is? You know the balls that you need when you're writing a story and you go, oh yeah, everything I did in the last game, so nothing. Here, I'll reveal in the first chapter, because everything from here on out is about to get way fucking crazier. And let me tell you, they do. But that's for later. Anyway, back to this case. There's so many things that make Byakuya such an effective first victim. He's a character that steps up as the leader of the group. And it's clear that my boy Hajime, he ain't no ultimate hope. He's very pessimistic, kind of a wuss, and very much so stuck on his head. Best protagonist in the series, but that's another conversation. One thing I don't see a lot of people mention that I love about this trial is how involved the entire crew is in this case. Ibuki's hearing, Gundam losing his earring, Mikan's body analysis, Peko having to shit. Throughout the entire chapter, the Sayaka archetype isn't Byakuya, and it's not Chiaki. It's Nagito.
I'm Nagito Komaeda. Nice to meet you.
I love Nagito. I mean, in the first chapter, I kind of hated him, but our romance is something that I'll keep talking about throughout this entire video. In the first chapter, he's a chill guy. He's friendly. He roasts Hajime a lot, which is funny. But you know what they say? Boys will be boys, right? Right? And sometimes boys make an entire setup to get themselves killed just for their ultimate luck to kick in and save somebody else that's not him. He's so cute, I know. I remember the absolute shock I felt when Nagito, a character that I thought was just gonna be Makoto again, but with a bad hair dye, ended up being not just a fucking lunatic, but also my husband. The type of crazy with an altruistic philosophy that nobody else in the series is really able to pull off. I did not expect this twist and turn from the first chapter of the series. I thought they were gonna go easy on me. I thought the moment that Nagito snapped was raps. Killing both characters that are familiar to us in the first chapter, really clever. But no. Nagito is too fucked up to die in the first chapter. I think Teruteru might be a little too on the nose for the culprit and just really not likable. I mean, cancel me, guys. But a character as hands-on as Teruteru is really hard to like. So after replaying these games, I don't really have a soft spot for the guy. I mean, really, guys, it's kind of hard finding sympathy in a guy that wants to make Jabberwock Island look more like Epstein's Island. But at the same time, they kind of pull it off with the whole mom stuff. Kind of felt bad. I don't know. I will say the damning evidence being Mikan in this Gunnar ass pose is really funny, and the crash out is absolutely ridiculous. Anyways, this is how you start a game. I'm gonna go ahead and give it the absolute A tier. Banger case. Chapter 2 of the Goodbye Despair moves quick, and goddamn does this game not miss, except when it does. But we'll get to that later. After exploring the new island, almost immediately we're presented with quite possibly one of my favorite motives in the entire series, a video game. Fun fact, the video game that the Twilight Murder Syndrome murder case, god that's a doozy, is based on is an actual series called Twilight Syndrome. I've never played Twilight Syndrome, but I absolutely love the aesthetic of it, and it blends into Danganronpa almost effortlessly. I mean, the fact that the Daily Life song is remixed into an 8-bit, I love when Danganronpa thinks outside of the box with some of these motives. And this one is one of the most creative ones. And it's also really clever. The fact that all the girls in the game are actually the girls in the cast is so cool. Some people feel like the motive is a little bit too targeted for Fuyuhiko to do something, which is completely understandable. But unlike Celeste's bum-ass case 2 of this game plays around the fact that it so obviously should be Fuyuhiko. Are you recording? First, by framing Hiyoko for the murder, someone who, despite it seeming obvious, there's also a shocking nature to the fact that Hiyoko, someone so close to Mahiru, I'm not talking about this, could be the culprit in this case. I mean, there's heartbreak there, right? But that's not where it ends. Fuyuhiko in every way looks like the most suspicious one when we find out that Mahiru knew about his sister's murder and did nothing about it. This case plays so well with the fact that all these people knew each other even though they may not remember. No game makes you feel that as much as this one. Especially with the reveal that Peko and Fuyuhiko actually knew each other. I mean, that Peko's actually a Spanish serial killer. Yeah, divine justice kind of blows. And trying to solve the murder inside the Twilight murder syndrome case really brings down what is a really solid trial to the series. It's almost annoying to bear through. Bear through, y'all feel me? Yeah, thank you. If Divine Justice was much shorter, I think it'd be fine. I mean, I understand that this is an obvious callback to the first game's chapter 2, but is this really necessary? I don't know. I feel like there could have been a more creative option that Peko could have gone for. Also, as someone who has completed all of Mahiru's free time events, can we be real about this character? Mahiru is the one character in the series that I think is valued as so underrated that she's actually overrated. So much so that there are fake leaks about Danganronpa 2x2 where Mahiru is the main character. Like, what do you guys see that I don't? But I digress. Nothing, and I mean nothing, prepares you for the absolute heartbreak that the confession at the end of this trial brings you. This is the first time in my entire Danganronpa playthrough that actual tears came to my eyes. There's something so powerful and beautiful about the dichotomy between Peko and Fuyuhiko. Two people that, despite knowing each other their entire life, have not bothered to truly understand each other. The reason why Peko murders Mahiru is that she can create an opportunity for Fuyuhiko to escape. Since Peko doesn't have her own autonomy, she's just a tool. Right, Fuyuhiko? Right?
I never wanted a tool. I just wanted you. Only you. Please, Peko. Don't go. I need you. Don't leave me.
Young master.
Even the execution is soul-wrenching. Peko dies believing she killed her master, the person she swore to protect. And that's what I thought too. And I thought this was gonna be a Romeo and Juliet situation. But no, this was just the start to what is one of the greatest characters in all of Danganronpa. This is genuinely one of the saddest trials ever. And if it wasn't so strong in the emotions department, I'd probably give this trial a B tier. But fuck it, I'm biased. I'm gonna give this one an A tier. Yeah, this is the worst trial in the whole series. The only good thing I can give this whole chapter is that this is the start of Fuyuhiko's character development, which is obviously amazing. But that's kind of it. I really hate the Despair Disease. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's probably the worst motive in all of Danganronpa. And yes, it's worse than the Necronomicon. It's not just that this motive makes less sense than a really bad filler episode. It's also that this motive goes against the juice of what makes Danganronpa so compelling. What makes Danganronpa or any killing game stand out is our characters making a voluntary choice in betraying and killing another. The situation itself is the pressure, but at the end of the day, it should be based on our characters' original behaviors that make them take these actions. Did you hear my fart at the end?
No.
Nice. Like, dude, Ibuki's whole personality shift was so annoying, and the fact that this is the last chapter we have with her, you guys, how could I ever recover? You guys don't understand. Back in high school, I had an entire Ibuki Pinterest board, and I wish I had some sense of shame to admit this, but I literally screamed in agony. And yes, this trial sucks. But like, actually, okay? Ibuki's death is probably the better part of this case. There's no better part. Like, sure, Ibuki was probably not gonna make it through the whole game. 2x2, please help me out. But if anyone had to survive with a genuine chance to be redeemed, it was Hiyoko. I mean, she was finally starting to grow into a character past just being a bully and loving Mahiru. I genuinely think the dynamic between a growing Hiyoko and a growing Fuyuhiko would have been such a good clash. But nope, instead we have Kazuichi begging Sonia to call him a fucking pig.
I'm just a pest. No, I'm not just a pest. I'm a total fucking pig. Isn't that right, Miss Sonia? If I'm a fucking pig, you can say so.
The fact that they barely cover Hiyoko's death is probably one of the most upsetting parts of the entire trial. You can tell that this was not thought out properly at all, especially when you think about who the culprit is. I literally think I'm part of a psyop where everyone else played Danganronpa 2x2, where Mikan is actually the greatest character ever written, and I was the one stuck with Goodbye Despair, the original game, where Mikan is the most unbearable fucking fan service character ever. Dude, this is one of the most obvious cases ever. Like, it actually had me questioning if any of these people had any brains. You can tell that Goodbye Despair is the only cast without an ultimate detective because goddamn are these motherfuckers dumb as fuck. Nagito had the Despair Disease for the entire chapter and was able to investigate the crime scene for maybe 30 minutes tops. And somehow, my man is the one to carry this entire trial. That's all that I can give this trial. Nagito, I love you. I love Nagito so much that, you know what, King? You're right. These motherfuckers don't deserve you. she get them all killed. This case borderline doesn't make any sense. Hajime witnesses Ibuki's dead body, runs to the motel, and brings everyone back, where Mikan joins them as well. In those 5 minutes that it takes for Hajime to run to the motel and for Mikan to be there shortly after, she would have to tear the wallpaper off the pillar, smash the security camera, glue the door shut, and all this from what is literally the clumsiest character in the entire game. You can argue that the despair disease alters her personality, but is Mikan being an ultimate despair make her an athletic genius? I don't think so. And the execution? I'm tired of talking about this case. This is the worst trial in the series. To say this is your favorite trial in the entire series would not be ridiculous, because Danganronpa 2 Case 4 is the first trial in the series that I would call an absolute masterpiece. Look at me, look at me. This is the most insane trial you've seen so far. Of the dome, you have Nekomaru returning as Mekamaru, which is kind of weird that they killed him off so quickly after being MIA last chapter, but whatever, because the way Mekamaru's corpse is used in this case is so interesting that no other trial, except for maybe V3's Case 5, can really pull off. You see, this trial does not take place in a normal setting. While you're exploring the new island, Monokuma tricks the classmates into going into an attraction. You see, the playhouse is the motive of this case. Everyone is locked in this playhouse without food or water until someone kills somebody else. This is probably one of the best build-ups for a trial ever, because throughout the chapter you see how everyone's will to live is constantly being depleted as the days in the funhouse progress. And Monokuma is well aware of this, proposing a death game to give them a semblance of hope for them to escape. Like, I'm telling you, there is nothing like this chapter. Playing as Nagito and trying to seek a way out to escape the death room is so good, and the shit that this motherfucker pulls here, Nagito's actually psychotic to a degree that no other character, not even Junko, compares. This is the moment that radically changes Nagito as a character, where his pessimistic perspective rapidly turns into an altruistic, higher than thou philosophy. I mean, the way Nagito treats Hajime after this trial.
8 sides, right? I didn't expect you to know that. For a substitute reserve course student, you're quite knowledgeable.
This whole death game thing is actually the second motive of this trial. The entire structure of the funhouse is not what is led to believe, and because the culprit also did this death game, he proceeds to devise with the only person that very clearly was willing to give up his life as well. This is one of the most satisfying cases to solve, just because of how complicated the nature of the funhouse is. Although a lot of people compare this trial to V3 Chapter 4, this one easily takes the cake as the best Chapter 4 in the entire series. The funhouse is such a phenomenal motive, and the fact that you get to be in it for so much longer, I think also further adds to the desperation to get out of it, which also ties into the culprit's motive for everyone else to escape. To never lose the will to live. Gundam, through his persona, devised a plan so complicated that it was practically impossible to figure him out as a culprit until he eventually gave himself away. He basically implies that he did this out of a selfish will to live. But look at this guy. Look at how sweet he is. It's heavily implied and basically obvious that he did this for all his friends to live, so that they could escape the funhouse and regain the will to live. The only reason he made this BS excuse is to die as the supreme overlord of evil and have one of the rawest final bars in all of Danganronpa. Pride, conceit,
courage, insolence, fearful of nothing, daunted by nothing. Let us laugh uproariously!
This is the first trial to hit the absolute S tier. When I saw this body discovery, all I could think was, holy fuck, I know Nagito's a little crazy, and he did get somebody killed, and he did commit a little bit of arson, but this is just too much. Look at this, my jaw was on the floor when I saw this. Who would do this? What lunatic would do this? Nagito, you are one crazy motherfucker. My crazy. This is probably one of the most beloved trials in all of Danganronpa, and rightfully so. As soon as you see the body, you start questioning the possibility of any of the survivors being the culprit. The investigation very subtly leads you into the idea that maybe Nagito did this to himself, but not in a way that makes it outright obvious. Like many, I think a lot of us assume that Nagito made this entire ploy to try to get them all killed, but unfortunately, Nagito's a little bit more insane than that. And that right there is when everything about this chapter clicks. You remember, why has Nagito been trying to do the entire chapter? Lure out the traitor. And how could this trial possibly lure them out? By using his ultimate luck to draw out the traitor as the culprit, making it an impossible scenario to solve unless they figure out the traitor, which completely shifts the conversation into exactly what Nagito wanted. Or maybe not, because the traitor confesses their identity and gives her life away for the rest of the ultimates. I like Chiaki. I honestly feel like she's not as solid as Kyoko or Kaido. She's just a super moe, ultimate girl, waifu, and up until maybe chapter 4, she doesn't particularly stand out. But also, I feel like that works for her, both her role and Danganronpa 2. DR2 is one of the games that genuinely feels like they make the best out of their entire cast. Most of them. And I feel like leaving Chiaki's purpose for the second half works really well for some characters that get the opportunity to really shine in the first half. And man, this death is just so sad. It's one of the goofier ones, but her last words are genuinely so sweet, and I think you can get a lot out of the characters that genuinely just want to see the best version of you. God, now I'm sounding like a Discord moderator. It's also really clever how they use a scene from the previous chapters to be the final clue to reveal that Chiaki is the traitor. The way this concludes Nagito's character arc is simply phenomenal, and it absolutely ensures him the spot as one of the most legendary characters in the entire series. You can't really tell how he actually feels. Does he hate the Ultimates, or does he truly adore them? Does he feel like he's worthless trash or the savior of the world? The answer is yes to all of it. Nagito is such a diluted definition of the word hope. I have 3 favorite characters in this entire series, and he's definitely one of them. Also, Usami dies, which is kind of sad because my girlfriend really liked her. She's sweet, she's pink, and I don't know, she's cute. Anyways, this is probably the best trial in all of Danganronpa, but it's not my personal favorite, but I'm still gonna go ahead and give it the S tier. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that chapter 6 of this game is probably the worst chapter 6 in the entire series. And yes, I am including V3 chapter 6. Because even if you don't like the final twist of V3, the case itself has a lot of really good things going for it, which I'll talk about when I get there. But chapter 6 of Danganronpa 2, it kind of stinks when it comes to almost everything except the final twist. The structure of the trial itself is pretty straightforward. It ends with the breaking of the simulation, which is really trippy, and I actually love that part. Then we get to probably the coolest aspect of the case, the investigation. You're investigating everything from inside the original Hope's Peak Academy from Trigger Happy Havoc, going to all the rooms for the original game. That is so incredibly sick. But then, what do you actually investigate? Manga. You investigate manga after manga after manga. It is so boring. It's just lore dump after a lore dump after a lore dump. This is probably the most tedious way to tell a story. And what really pisses me off is that they're not even drawn manga. It's just text on text on text. Look, I get it. Danganronpa is a novel, but it's also a visual novel. If you're going to have such a massive exposition dump to conclude all the twists in the entire game, make it creative. Just slap it all in a text like we're reading Dark Souls item descriptions. Going into the trial itself, it's fine. The Junko reveal doesn't really work for me here. The whole Junko and Oshima clone virus plan is really stupid. And I feel like it doesn't really work for Junko's character either. The point of despair is that if you grab these good, genuine people and you break them to their core, they become these vile creatures. That's the point of despair. If everyone in this world is Junko and Oshima, then nobody is Junko and Oshima. Think about the original motive in the first game. It's such a simple, effective setup. Junko is this normal high school girl who is so insanely smart that she has lost all purpose in life, finding pure enjoyment only in chaos and destruction. But this grand plan to turn everyone into Junko and Oshima, it's kind of funny at first, but when you really think about it, what is interesting about that? Because this case is so boring, the only thing that saves it is the backup showing up. When Makoto, Kyoko, and Byakuya arrived, bro, it felt like trumpets were being blown. That shit was so hype. Is it Danganronpa's Avengers moment? Yeah, it's cheap fan service, but it's cool. It's hype. It kept me going when I desperately needed something to carry this tedious, boring trial. But the last thing that truly works for me in this trial, the saving grace, is the final twist. The reveal that we are the remnants of despair, and the reveal that the person who implanted the virus is none other than Izuru Kamakura, or should I say, Hajime Hinata. I absolutely adore Hajime. I almost feel like he is the main character of Danganronpa. He is the ultimate focal point of the themes of hope, despair, and the crushing pressure of the schooling system. The story beautifully portrays how you have to grind yourself down through that system just to hopefully become somebody. Hajime is the example of, what if that's not possible? What if the only way to succeed succeed isn't through a talent you don't have, but by destroying your inner self entirely. He becomes Izuru Kamakura. Izuru is the absolute opposite of everything that Hajime is. Despite having every single talent in the world, he's devoid of personality, and that's the point. Because he has every talent in the world, he is just so empty. Hajime, despite seemingly being a nobody, can still care for people, can still laugh and scream and feel things so deeply, so humanly, that Izuru simply can't. And sometimes being a nobody is more than enough, because if you're a nobody, you can choose your own future. Nobody, not even your own talent, can tell you who you will become. I love what they do with him. Johnny Young Bosch is literally the GOAT. His voice is so sexy and so perfect for Hajime. He is without a doubt the best main character out of the three, and that voice and that performance definitely adds to that greatness that he has. I love Hajime so much, and I really relate to him so much, because I don't think there's a more pessimistic, down to his luck main character. And that works when you're really not trying to make this average Joe character in the way that Makoto is. You're making Hajime, this guy without talents, without literally any quirks, but the insecurity that he has in his heart. And for me and a lot of people, that's so real, and I just love him. So yeah, when Hajime decides I can choose my own future, I love it. How the story concludes for everyone, well, except Kazuichi, is beautiful, and thinking about it for too long might make me cry. I always think about the final line that Hajime says about the ocean.
The future isn't a path. It's like an endless sea. You can try to go anywhere, but it doesn't mean you'll get there. Even so, I will keep on living. I will keep on living as Hajime Hinata.
Just beautiful. It's such a good line. It's such a grievance in my complaints with this trial, because despite the lackluster investigation and trial, the ending is actually beautiful, and it can bring me to tears more than I'd like to admit. Its conclusion with Hajime is absolutely phenomenal. God damn, is it so tedious for us to get there. Because of the pacing and the lore dumps, I'm gonna have to go ahead and give this trial a D tier. I love Goodbye Despair, and I completely understand if it's your favorite entry in the series. And in that same regard, I hope you guys can understand the man that I'm about to become when we start talking about V3.